All right, so Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco now are New York Mets, and the Indians get back a couple of shortstop, and Ahmed Rosario and Andres Gimenez. Mets have been high on Rosario and given him the opportunity for a few years, and he hasn't just quite performed at the level that they expected. Andres Gimenez got an opportunity last year. Really, the defense was tight, and then a couple of prospects, Isaiah Green, and then right-handed pitcher Josh Wolf. But let's talk pure hitting. Francisco Lindor, switch hitter, power on both sides, can go gap to gap. It's smooth and kind of a slumpless type swing that he has.
Well, the swing he has, it plays. It's flat in the zone, right? He's a gap to gap guy. I think that's one thing about Lindor. When you watch this guy play, you're like, wow, he goes the other way so well. He can drive the baseball in the gaps, has big-time power, which is amazing. Obviously, that swing right there, that's just a great swing. That's probably a two-strike approach, trying to put the ball in play, got a pitch out over the plate, drove it to center field. But, when you look at this, you talk about the ranks among MLB shortstops in games and home runs, RBIs. He's a run producer. His OPS 844. His WAR, that's pretty impressive. The Mets are getting a superstar, right? And, we talked about offensively, this guy's a superstar. Defensively, he's a superstar, too. And Al, as well as I do. You want to win at the big league level, you win on the bump, and you win up the middle defensively. And also with bats like this. So the Mets are getting a superstar player in his prime. It couldn't be a better deal for them now.
There's not a better person in this building. You're a lifetime 300 hitter, and I love what Francisco does as a hitter. But I'm going to tell you guys, that with Jacob deGrom and this Mets team, which when you win championships, yes, I love your offense, and the Mets offense was good, you got to win with pitching, and your pitching automatically gets better with Frankie Lindor. Get a look at this guy. StatCast has a stat, of course, they're all out there, outs above average, and it's based on range. Since they started this in 17, the Mets shortstop have been the second worst in this category. Okay, now, Frankie Lindor, third best during that time. Nick Ahmed and Drelton Simmons. When you talk about a shortstop, and it's still premium position because it makes your third baseman better. Now with shifting, your second baseman's better. You have a pitching staff that will get outs that now were hits that are outs. You get you out of innings. That little dribbler that goes up the middle with a runner at second base and nobody with two outs, it's a run score. You're backing up third or home plate. So all of that, I can't say enough, and the metrics are fantastic with what Francisco Lindor means defensively. And I can throw a lot at you as to how he gets to the ball and where he sets up, but this staff just got better purely on just what Francisco Lindor means. He plays on both sides of the ball. This guy's an MVP caliber player, and dare I say of top trades, Sean, in the history of this franchise, it's going to be, now I know, look, he's got to sign, but you mentioned about Piazza, play with Mike. When Keith Hernandez got traded over in 1983.
Huge, one-sided.
Huge, the captain. The following year, Gary Carter, the late Gary Carter, huge. I don't want to
Alomar, too, didn't quite work out the way they expected.
And it was the latter part of his career. And I'm glad you mentioned Robbie, because I played with Robbie in Toronto. And there is some similarity. I know shortstop, second base, but this kid is that dynamic. He really is. I'm not afraid to throw that out there either. He could be, when it's all said and done, a Robbie Alomar career.
When I think of Piazza, that deal, just playing with Mike and seeing the impact he had in New York, there's not superstar players, have that impact in New York the way Piazza did. Lindor's personality, just the way he goes about his business, the impact he's going to have in that clubhouse, but on the fans. And Al, every day, those Mets fans, that's a passionate fan base right there. And to have a guy like this, Francisco Lindor, that could be that superstar caliber player, man, this is just really, really great for the Mets.
Just real quick before we move on here, he's got 1 year left. He's going to be 27. Obviously, they did this with all intensive.
Back up the Brinks truck.
Sign a huge extension. Don't you think so?
But not your Brinks truck.
Not my Brinks truck.
You know the Mets well, Al. What do you think? Is that's a plan?
Oh yeah, you have to do everything you can to sign this kid. I'm not going on. It sounds like it's Christmas here, but I've liked this guy. I've liked this guy for a long time. And then you meet him, and it's not just the fake smile and then the lights go off and he gets a frown. He is like this all the time, folks. I can't say enough nice things, and I know it's glowing and it's deserving because he's that type of player. He really is.
I remember interviewing him at the Futures game. They're like, hey, go to this guy, Francisco Lindor. I'm like, oh, who's this guy? I go down there, hey, man, nice to meet you.
Hey, brother.
Boom, he lights it up, right? I'm like, has this guy been in the big leagues 10 years? Are you sure we're at the Futures game and not the All-Star game? And now, he is that superstar player in the big leagues, getting a chance to see him before that. I think that's the great thing, is that's attractive to people. Like, bring my son to the game to watch his kid play. You know what you're going to get.
Yep.